Hi, it's just a message to say, sending my condolences regarding Malcolm. He was a lovely fella. Every time I met him, he was, so polite and honest. And he said to me I was his favourite player, which means a lot to me. He's going to be sadly missed by many. And so I just want to say I'm so sorry for your loss. Okay? All right, you take care. All right? Bye.
Yes, it's Monday. Oh, God. 8 o'clock? Something's meant to be happening. Hey, it's the Monday assessment.
Your people gather round your town when things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the hard times, stay passionate through the lows, find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Monday Assessment by the View from the Medway Fancast in partnership with the Gillingham FC Supporters Club, Sports Social Podcast Network, and Her Game 2, and of course, sponsored by Jamie and John at Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station, and D at Wicked Creative on a weekend where it marked a 5-game that one. 5 games where we've gone without a win in the league. Are we destined for worse, or are we there in any kind of way going to pick it up? So we will get straight into it in a minute. But I do just want to say a massive thank you to Rob Taylor and also rest in peace, Malk. So we'll bring the boys in. I've got Stuart Lewis tonight, who was a founding member of the Monday Assessment. We've got David Creasy, co-host, and Mike Gammon, who on last-minute terms is in for Mr. Wiskin. So how are we, gentlemen?
I'm all right. For a short-term loan.
Thank you, mate.
Good, thanks.
It always seems to be this way with you, Mike, at the moment, doesn't it? Like, first game of the season, Mr. Teaching was meant to be in the pub with me and John, and last minute you've come in. So, Mr. Last Minute Man, Mr. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over here.
Well, it's almost like you don't want me any other time. So what's all that about?
There we go. And Stu, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very well, mate. Yeah, yourself?
Yeah, very well, mate. Stopped having your arguments with Blue Brazil.
No, he's gone off the radar. I think he's been looking at the news. I think it's been a bad day for him today. So I heard a dicky bird.
Yeah, and David, how's your day been, mate? All right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Busy day at work, but no, looking forward to getting into this, mate.
And I would just like to say as well, whilst we're on the subject, David did get a promotion at work this week. So a massive well done for David. So
David.
He looks delighted with it, clearly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, look, as delighted as you can be with the Jills at the moment, he's probably thinking of that same thing. So I will hand over to David, and we will talk about the Views news this week.
Thank you very much, mate. So first topic, put the kettle on Rom. So we didn't have a show last week, so we didn't get to talk about the trip to Grimsby and our new friend, Zach Kennard Kettle. So I will start with you, Stu, on this one. Out of all the decisions that young Mr. Kettle made, is there any of them that you can kind of maybe see why he made those decisions regarding the sending off, penalty, the 2-footed tackle on Ethan Coleman?
I think he just from what I gather, he likes Grimsby Town, doesn't he? I think that's part and parcel of it. No, I think we all like to make excuses, don't we? But that was a shocking, official, and hope we never see him again. Really, absolutely terrible. I mean, the Hutton thing was just laughable, really. And I think that when you see that, you know how the thing's going to pan out. I won't bore you, but we've had referees in the past, similar to that. Certain names crop up, like Mr. Alcott from the, yeah, and it's unfortunate. You just hope that you can avoid them. To be honest.
So, Mike, regarding the game itself, it's hard to know what would have happened. Obviously, finishing with 9 men, a penalty being given against yourself. What were the positives that you took out of the performance?
I think the positives were that we'll start off by saying that I think we were deprived of a good game of football by a referee that had absolute main character syndrome, where he wanted to go in there and make it all about himself. So as fans, we were absolutely robbed of a decent game of football. But the positives really is that, even when we went down to 10 and then 9 men, we were still, putting our bodies on the line. We were still playing a good game of football. We still tried. In squads of previous years, we would have rolled over. We would have crumbled like an OXO cube, kind of thing. And we now have a different mentality where, even though we've got 2 less players on the pitch, we're still giving it the best that we can do and doing it for the pride and the shirt, which is absolutely the biggest positive that you can hope for when you're down like that.
And Chris, finally with you. Obviously, Romeo had his red card rescinded and was obviously played at the weekend. What were your overall thoughts on the game, and how badly did those decisions affect the overall outcome of the game? And can you put anything on this October theory that Gills just don't play in October?
I've always been a big advocate for the last 3 seasons, mate. 2-3 seasons where we just can't do anything in October. No matter how hard we try, we can huff and puff and blow the house down, but we just seem to have a really bad October for the last couple of years. I do think that he was very much a part of last weekend when we played Grimsby. I do feel that he didn't make very good decisions. He was absolutely terrible, to be fair. And when you've got 9 men on the pitch and they're still trying, and you can see that they're still trying, it's a massive, massive, massive testament to the squad, testament to their mentality. Even the penalty, it was a nothing. It was a coming together. It wasn't even a penalty, really, was it? Come on. Hutton going off Hutton got fouled initially to begin with. And then he's got up and then gone thing. And you could argue potentially that he was the last man. But when you've got Max Clark then running in and passing the ball back to Glenn Morris, that is not the last man. The last man is you're actually the last man. So yeah, I just think Maynard, whatever his name is, just maybe go off the boil a little bit, mate.
Nice pun, like it.
That's right.
So, second point we got here. So, an audience with Gareth and Brad. So, this was changed at last minute due to the chairman releasing a 12 minute video, which we will get onto. But obviously, the first thing we're going to talk about was obviously the chairman, Joe Comper, and Gareth were all pictured together out having a coffee. Looked like Gareth looked well from the picture. I'll come to you, Mike, first. How good was it to see them all together, and B, how badly do we need Gareth back?
I'll start with the first bit then. How good it is to see them together. I mean, of course, you'd expect no less from an employer that has the full faith in a manager that they want to sort of keep in touch. They wish the best for him. They want to make sure that he's looking after himself as well, because, after something like that, there's danger of rushing yourself back a bit too quickly. And I'm sure Gareth's absolutely chomping at the bit to get back in the hot seat and drive us forward. But, it's great to see that Brad and Joe sort of, they're also making light of it as well. I mean, we saw on the social media that it was quite a light-hearted affair, but I think they just want people to know that, Gareth's, on the road, he's on the road to recovery, and it's really good to see. I mean, it's a small thing, but it also connects everything back to the fans again. Is to engage those fans again with, something as small as that, which, is something that they've been concentrating on for, since they've come in, and you can't fault it. You cannot fault it at all. To your second point of how badly do we need Gareth back? Well, I'm sure when we get onto the bit about the game itself, there's a few sort of constructive criticisms that I'll have. That I think, if we had Gareth in charge, I think it may have been a slightly different kind of outlook. So we'll get onto that in a bit.
Cheers, mate. So, Chris, to you regarding Gareth, not just his overall, the way he holds himself on the touchline, the way that he is quite a charismatic guy. Do you think there's anything else that we're missing with him not being around, like especially on the touchline, the way he interacts with the fourth officials? Do you think he potentially wins us points with his personality on the touchline?
Oh, yeah. So why did you come to me with that question? Like, you literally give me the hardest question. I think, and we will get into it when it comes to the game, but I just think that for me, Gareth doesn't work without Dobbo, and Dobbo doesn't work without Gareth. It's kind of like a Clough Taylor situation where they're very good as a duo, but individually maybe not. I'm not saying that means that they're bad coaches or bad managers, but I think that is kind of how it works with them two. I do think that the charisma that Gareth brings to the touchline has been missed. I think that maybe the in-game management has been missed. I just don't necessarily know if Dobbo is not a number one, is he? So, we could talk about like the likes of Stephen Clements, who isn't a number one. Stuart Lewis.
He wasn't given much of a chance, was he?
Oh, well, anyway.
Yeah. He had a
Let's not go down this path. Let's not go down this path.
I just trying to think back. He had a really good replacement, didn't he? What was his name?
Oh, yeah.
You started
Then when there's 13 minutes before an ex-Gillingham manager was mentioned.
It's a new record.
Yeah, but no. For me, I think that they both work off of each other. Therefore, you need Gareth to be there for Dobbo to work, and vice versa. I do feel that, I think that he's so rock star, and he's so like the players respect him. So when he's not there, okay, he may be involved in the build up to the game, but I don't necessarily feel that when you're on a pitch, it's an in-game situation. Like, everything changes within 90 minutes. You can't just go, there go, clean cut. So that was a hard one, David.
No worries, mate. And Stu, finally with you. So obviously Brad did mention in his little interview today that that Gareth has been involved in team meetings via video link, etc. So how, which is good to hear, but how strong do Brad, Shannon and Joe have to be to make sure that Gareth is fully recovered before he comes back, and not panic and get him back before he's ready?
Yeah, really tricky, isn't it? Because if you look at it, obviously he's been missing, for a few weeks now. We haven't won a game. I think that speaks volumes, really. And if you look at it, okay, he's involved, with video links and bits and pieces, but really, when it comes down to like we were saying earlier about being in the game, being a sort of WhatsApp manager, is not the same as it has been on the touchline. And I think, you know, if you look at, you know, the first 5 minutes on Saturday, you know, we knew straight away we had problems, didn't we? Would it have panned out slightly differently with Gareth there? I think it probably would have done. It's a tricky one because obviously, you know, he has had a major operation, so you know, they'll want to keep him away as long as it's sensible. But obviously, knowing Gareth, he'd want to be at, you know, Newport on Saturday, won't he? That's the problem. Very, very difficult. I do like answering to a blank screen, so he's disappeared from me. I don't know about anyone else.
No, we're all still here, mate.
Oh, he's back. There he is. Must be me. Obviously, like all fans, just want him back ASAP. But you know, when he's properly fit and ready.
Yeah.
Sorry, just to add to that about the remote situation. Is that, I mean, in my line of work, we always say that face-to-face meetings are always the best. You know, Teams calls are always a second best thing. But the thing is, when you throw in the factors of a football match, you know, the amount of things that change within the course of those 90 minutes is untold. It's the unknown kind of thing. There are things that you can't account for that Gareth can't really contribute to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Carl Robinson said in his post-match interview that he changed the shape after 10 minutes. So, you know, there's all these like unknown factors that Gareth won't be able to do anything with, you know, with the best will in the world. Yes, you could contribute to the pep talk factor of things and talk about like general tactics. But when something changes shape in the middle of a game, there's absolutely nothing he can do about it.
No, and you can't. You really can't. You really can't, because it's an ever-evolving situation, isn't it? 90 minutes of football.
Absolutely.
You're evolving all of the time. You're seeing what's working, what's not working. Like, you can't do that from just day dot. You can't sit there and go, yeah, this is going to work.
Yeah,
we're going to do 90 minutes with it, because it doesn't. And I think that then falls back to with the whole situation with him and Dobbo. Like, they have such a dynamic when they're on the touchline together, and they can sort that out from there. But we seem to have lost David.
Yeah, we have. If you look at, I mean, you know, the body language with Dobbo, and you make a comparison to Gareth. I mean, you know, Dobbo looks like he's come out of Madame Tussauds, doesn't he? He's pretty static. And you've got Ainsworth, you know, doing the okey cokey and jumping about, and the difference is quite stark, really. And I think it was an interesting point I've read over the weekend. I think it was only Jules said it, that when the boss is around, everyone lifts a bit. And I think, and it's true, isn't it? In all walks of life, you know, if you're at work and you know the boss is out all day, and you know everyone's having a fag and having a chit chat by the water cooler, the boss is here, and everyone's, you know, sort of scampering back to their desk. And I think the same applies, in all honesty. I think he's been sorely missed. Really is.
Yeah, no, he definitely has. I do think that, you know, Dobbo has a certain degree of power there, but it is like, it's the same with me, mate. Like, if my assistant manager's at work, I go in the next day and half of the things that I've told them to do haven't been done. And the lads, the minute I walk into the building, I'm not saying I'm amazing, but the minute I walk into the building, they're like, "Oh shit, let's just get our job done."
Yeah. It's like my boss. If I don't sort of do the business, I come home and don't get any tea.
Ooh.
Well, that's your missus, not your boss.
Same diff.
Same sort of thing, though.
It's not the same thing.
It is, because we work together.
Oh God, you never get away from it.
Anyway, boys, we'll move on to the next subject. So we have Gareth and Johnny missing. Not very McCleary as to why. So, Stu, I'll go with you on that one, mate. And what people do know why they're out, but is there a reason why we're not necessarily told these days why players are actually out? Because it seems to be a little bit shaky.
I think there is. I mean, as you know, I speak to Johnny, and it cropped up before the MK Dons game, and I had a sit down with him, and we had a coffee and that, and I knew at that point that he was not going to be playing at MK Dons. And to be fair to him, the first thing he said to me, look, this is the situation. Don't say anything, because obviously MK are going to set up in a certain way. If they know certain personnel are missing, it affects their game plan, etc. So I think that's why we're kept in the dark. And it does make sense when you think about it. It is frustrating though, obviously, with Johnny missing at the moment. I don't think looking ahead probably a couple of weeks, but then you haven't got, you've got bolt-ons there, haven't you? He's not been playing. He's not going to be fit. You've got those situations to contend with. So it's extremely frustrating, bearing in mind he's on loan. I think we missed him, definitely.
Yeah.
Obviously, regarding McCleary, I'm not sure what the situation is there. I've got to be honest.
Yeah. And David, I hope you're with us now, mate.
Yeah, internet just completely went.
So you can take over the rest of this question.
Okay. Where are we now?
We're at Gareth and Johnny.
We're at Gareth and Johnny. Okay, cool. So, Mike, I hope you haven't been asked anything while I've been away.
No, I haven't. Clean sheet, mate.
No worries at all. So, how important is communication between club and fans when it comes to injuries? And at this level, is it really that important if another team know that one of your players isn't available through injury? Because it seems to be an ongoing thing where players just disappear, and you see them walk down a touchline on a Saturday, and some of them are limping, some of them aren't limping, and you just don't know when they're coming back.
Yeah, I mean, with it depends on the context when it comes to the communications. I still think it's very important that these things aren't disclosed. You don't want to give your opposition any kind of tactical advantage by knowing, because they're going to be doing the same their end as well. That they're going to be protecting what their lineups are going to be. Then they're going to be protecting how their formation could come out as well. So you don't want to give them any kind of tactical advantage in that respect. In terms of the player, the communication to fans, it's important. It is important, but it has to be within reason. And I think it'd be unreasonable for fans to demand to know, particularly if it's sensitive, the reasons as to why. It's important, but it's not. You've got to do it within the realms of possibility. You can't be doing it to disclose things that will either give a tactical advantage, or if it's particularly sensitive as to the reasons why someone's not in the match day squad. That's how I feel on it.
And Chris, do you think this is something we should be looking at wider? Because it does seem over the last month or so we've been picking up an awful lot of niggles and injuries, and obviously Gareth wanted to work with a smaller squad. He's definitely getting his wish, because half of them aren't available.
Yeah, I think we're going to end up having more podcasts than we are bloody fit players at the moment, mate. We will.
Hurry up, Chris. I've got another one in 20 minutes, mate.
No. But in all seriousness, it seems to be something that's happened for a couple of years now, and we seem to just keep getting these injuries all the time. I'm not questioning the physios. I'm not questioning the ground that they play on, but it just seems to be a little bit ironic that we do. And you look at last season, Timmy Dieng was out. We had about 8 or 9 players out then. By this point, just maybe it's a curse. I don't know. I don't believe in all that witchcraft stuff, but I know Stuart does with Scally. I don't know, mate. I really do not understand. And I would like to know, I get that they don't necessarily want the opposition to know the situation. But when you've got, at the weekend, Connor Masterson turned around to me at full time, was like, he's got another month and he'll be back. Johnny Smith turned around to one of my friends and said he's got 2 weeks. Gareth McCleary, I think, is a little bit more within himself, doesn't really give too much away. But I do think that it's something that we need to know, because especially when it's changing the dynamic of the squad the way that it is, I think that we are we're playing with a back five now because we've got no other option, and we will get into that when we get to the game. But I just think that we need a little bit more disclosure with that, and we've not had that with Gareth, and we've not had that with Johnny. So yeah.
Just one other thing to sort of add to that is that I suppose from a player perspective, there is that degree of professionalism that they need to, be able to. They need to be trusted. They need to be trusted to not go rogue and start disclosing, private words here and there, just like Stu does with Johnny, kind of thing. Having a sort of informal chat. That's fine and fair enough. But the players have got to show a degree of professionalism, and I think that's not unreasonable at all.
No, of course.
No. Also, you got to bear in mind how far we've come in 30 years. I mean, in the old days, you knew the team when you got in the ground. It was announced on the tannoy, or some of you picked up in the local paper on the way to the ground. We didn't know anything at all. So we're in a very fortunate position. Also, bear in mind how much the game's changed, in recent years, whereby, everything's analysed. It's almost chess-like, and they're moving the pieces here, there, and everywhere. Yeah. So I think keeping your head down and keeping your cards close to your chest is really important.
Yeah, definitely. So. Anything else on the last subject before we move on to the lineups?
No.
I was just going to say, don't forget that Gillingham have a player called Ewan Williams as well.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. Who most fans were shocked. Got a 1-year contract, and again, looks like he's out of his sling. But again, don't know what's happening there.
Yeah, maybe we need to be a little bit more open. To a degree, but as Stu says, and as Mike rightly says, maybe we don't need to give the opposition too much going. But anyway, should we move to the lineups, boys?
So we started off for the first 40 seconds at least with Glenn Morris in goal. We had the back four of Max Clark, Shadowgy, Andy Smith, and Romeo Hutton. We then had a midfield two of Ethan Coleman and Robbie McKenzie. Wingers potentially, don't know, of Bradley Dack and Seb Palmer Holden, then the front two of Josh Andrews and Sam Vokes.
So, Stuart, I'll start with you, mate. What were your thoughts on the lineup? Obviously, it was a little bit confusing considering we had two strikers there.
Yeah, well, three really. I think when that came out, I'm thinking three strikers, 4-3-3 immediately. I'm thinking, and I'm a little scratching my head and. There's not a lot there to scratch these days. So, I had a problem. And I'm thinking, how's that? Is he going to go with some sort of diamond in there? It baffled me, I've got to be honest. I couldn't really work out what he was trying to do there.
Yeah, and I think that, Mike, we're talking about scratching of heads and hair. Obviously, you don't have any.
Cheers.
So, I'll go with you, mate. And obviously, I think it was very strange because, as Stu said, you didn't know whether it was going to be a diamond or not, or it was going to be how it is on the screen. What were your overriding thoughts on it? Because for me, when I saw the lineup come out at 1:45, I was a little bit confused.
I think everybody was confused on this one. We talked earlier about not giving too much away to the opposition. I tell you what, when they saw that lineup being announced, they probably didn't even know how it was going to turn out either. I mean, I thought it was going to be four at the back, Coleman, McKenzie where they are, kind of thing. I thought Dak was going to be in the middle, and then we were going to play Andrews and Seb out a little bit further out on the up front, as they're a bit more mobile than what Vokes is. That's how I thought we were going to turn out. So it's definitely a strange move to do that. To have Dak out on the left. I mean, Seb's got some speed on him, but granted. But the thing is, I think Aaron Rowe probably would have been better there than Seb. As I thought. I mean, and also when you got. I mean, I was saying to my wife, I don't know how it's going to turn out when you've got both, two big men in Andrews and Vokes up front. It just doesn't seem to ring right for me. It's not the sort of thing that I think would be effective. And when we've got like the attacking threat that we had with with them, with Salford, it's a bit. You wonder how we come out with this. It's just not. It just didn't sit right with me. It's almost like we had a bit of a shocker. We've done pin the tail on the donkey and got it wrong.
Yeah, and I think you kind of have, but we are restricted with what we've got with wingers. I think I can kind of see what Dobbo was trying to do, David, but it just looked really flat, not necessarily. It just didn't sit right with me, mate. So your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I was with you in the factory before, and as soon as I saw this lineup, my first instinct was, I think they've gone with a back three with Mackenzie in it, and maybe Coleman and Dak in the middle with Palmer Holden behind the others. But I did not see this, especially as Mike just touched upon. Salford strength is their front line, and especially where we've been a little bit iffy especially at the centre of defence, to have Ogie and Smith kind of together. It didn't sit right, and that's why I thought, if they put Mackenzie in there, shore it up a little bit, make sure we don't concede early, which we've been doing. And then, when they kicked off, and it was even 5-10 minutes in, you were still trying to work out who was playing where, and and obviously with the injury at the start of the game, that threw chaos out, and then the first half happened, but we'll go into that in a minute.
Yeah, and Stu, what were your? I think I've come to you already, and all right, sorry. Ever come to you already? Sorry,
you have.
I have. There you go. Sorry, guys. So we will move on to the game itself, I guess. And obviously, we were terrible in the first half. Got to be completely honest. And they kind of cut through us just like a butter knife. Like, we just literally just cut through us for both of their goals. I personally blamed Jake Turner after Glenn Morris coming up. But on reflection, I think it was a calamity of contributions, wasn't it, Stu?
Yeah. I mean, obviously with Morris getting injured so early on in the game, and you could sort of hear the sighs, couldn't you? We knew what was going to happen, And I think obviously, I know that you're a big fan, Chris, but Jake coming on is a little bit of a concern for, let's say, some fans. I know some fans think he's okay, and that he does take a bit of a whipping, really. Probably some a little bit undeserved. I don't think he's the greatest, I'll be honest. And I've said in the summer, I think we need another keeper. And I think that it's a worry. And then obviously we concede the goal. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. Like you said, totally overrun. The pace that Salford have got. And we do struggle, don't we? When we come up against sides that are nice and athletic, nice and bright, nice and quick, we do have a problem with that. Now, for me, the run for that goal, obviously, I think it was, possibly Coleman, was it, that was at fault initially with that? Someone's got to take the runner out, take a yellow. It's early in the game, and that doesn't happen. We don't do that. Don't really get that. I think if that's if Sam Gale's playing in that game, we don't concede, because that's what we missed on Saturday. He's nice and quick, and you fancy him, don't you? In a foot race against anyone, you really do fancy him, and that was missing on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I think I mentioned it on Saturday night, and I said we massively miss Sam Gale, Mike. What were your overriding thoughts of the game? I mean, could we have done better with what we had? I do feel that Shad, although I'm a massive fan of him, was at fault to a degree as well as Jake. So, what were your thoughts on the game really over, mate?
Well, I'm glad you asked me, Chris. Here we go.
To do, mate.
Here we go. Right. We touched on earlier about how so much changes during the course of a football match. Now, Carl Robinson said that, after 10 minutes, he changed the shape of it because he could see that we were pressing quite high and that there was plenty of space to expose behind. So that's exactly what they did. For us, you can't attribute the goals to the blame of any one person. I think a few people played their parts within the goals. And I totally agree that we miss Sam Gale. I think, Sam Gale's got a bit of pace on him. He can get back and recover if the ball is going, beyond them, kind of thing. I mean, you saw Andy Smith, for the second one was like starting to, he was like he was running in treacle, for crying out loud. It's, but the problem we've got, first of all, we should not be taken apart and carved apart in the middle when we've got Coleman and McKenzie in there. I think you think about the games where, for example, Coleman's come on, and it's changed the games where he does the unglamorous stuff, he does the nasty stuff that he has to, kind of thing. When you've got both Coleman and McKenzie, we should not have been taken apart like we were there. So unfortunately, there was a few off days there. Now, I said on Twitter about this that in Shadowgi and Smith, you got two defenders that are either they'll put in a 4 out of 10 performance or they'll put in an 8 out of 10 performance. Okay. Unfortunately, we had one of those games where they were both like, on the lower end of the scale. And it's just, one thing I do question is our use of like loanees. Okay. So, what's the bloke from Watford got to do to get a league game? It's one of those things that I think we need to make the best out of our loan signings as well. And I think Shad, Ogie, and Smith together, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. I totally concur with the notion and about Jake Turner is that I don't feel as assured with him in the sticks compared to someone like Morris. It was worrying. And Stu's absolutely bang on because I could hear everybody say, "Oh, here we go," kind of thing. Yes, he has taken some pelters, and some bit may have been a little bit unnecessary. However, there were some some really iffy decision making moments with him, and also there was undue hesitation as well, which contributed to the second goal. So it's kind of like these things that come with having a regular run in the team may iron out, but you do have to give him credit that he's come in, a few minutes into the game, a game he's not expecting to be playing, and then he's come in and he's a bit sort of like all 6s and 7s kind of thing, and also there was that dodgy moment where like he nearly lost the ball, didn't he? Where the players sort of closed him down and everything like that. So I think it's just one of those things where, I get we lost 2-1, but I think too many players had a bit of an off day for that game.
Yeah, no, potentially, mate. And, I don't rate Jake Turner. It's not a secret.
Really?
But you do have to give balance with it where he did make a good save after that, and as you've alluded to, that maybe because he's been thrown into a game after 40 seconds that he's not going to be up to scratch. I do feel that he was at fault partly for both goals, but I'm not going to sit here and like properly tear him apart because it's just my opinion. I don't rate him. It's as simple as that. So David, we move on to you, mate, and your overview of the game. And did you think it was good?
Okay, well, I don't rate him either. And I think for the first one, it looked like he looked like he was slightly out of position and was slightly worried that he could end up getting sent off if he did anything, and kind of hesitated, and then the striker put it through his legs. And the second one, there was errors before it got to him, but the player did go round him very easily, which did shock me for such a big guy that he was beaten so easily. But I thought on a positive, even though the first half was so poor, I still did think that when we were going forward, I did think that we looked quite a threat, and I thought Vokes was really good in the first half. And to be fair, Andrew's goal was a really, really good finish. And obviously, you know my thoughts on Gillingham centre forwards. to see the big man do that, and I think finally we are starting to see the benefits and why we signed Josh Andrews, to touch wood, have him fit for majority of the season. I think we're finally seeing the best, and you can even see by the stats that the only 2 shots they had on target they scored from, and we had plenty of chances, and we're just again finding ways to miss shots, getting blocked, just weak efforts where they're lacking a little bit of conviction. But for me, the main problem at the moment is that at the other end where we've been so assured. I think I said it on the last show. I can't see how a team with Shadogi in it can push for promotion, and that does sound really difficult, really harsh. But for me, he's an accident waiting to happen. And a lot of the good things he does is off the back of the mistake he's just made. And for me, I think the quicker that obviously Sam Gale is going to be back from suspension, and you said Connor Masterson's still a month away, so you've got to think there's probably 2 months potentially before he's playing. And obviously we've got Akamara from Watford, who has got to be due a run out. I just think we need to maybe give him a bit of a breather, saying that he'll probably start at Newport at the weekend. But it's just something's not clicking over the last 5 or 6 games. And obviously we lost with Gareth's last game. And then unfortunately, I just think that the timing of everything couldn't have come at a worse time. And we just need to stop the rot, take a few positives. As I said, Palmer Holden's looking lively. I think just needs a goal. We're starting to see the best of Sam Vokes as well. Looks miles too good for us at times. And obviously Josh Andrews needs to stay fit, but they need to get the combinations right now. Obviously Little's coming back again. Nice to see. They've got to try and work out the best way forward, whether that's a 4 at the back, 3 at the back, 5 at the back. They need to go back to basics and get back to where we are, because we're still considering we haven't won in 5 or 6 games, we're only 4 points off the top and just slipped out of the playoffs. So we're still in a very good position. So I don't think we need to panic yet, but they definitely need to get better.
Yeah, I think that's also, you could put that down to the fact that maybe the league's that poor. I don't know. So Stu, I do want to touch on something that David said there about the strikers, about said Palmer Holden, about Sam Vokes, about Andrews. Do you feel that we are in a stronger position this season than we were last with strikers?
Yeah, I do. I do think we're in a much better place all over from 12 months ago. I mean, we were literally sinking like a stone, weren't we? You only got to think back to Bromley, the sort of low point. We had a really, really tough period. And I think we all over the football club, we're stronger. We got, like David said, there's a decent squad of players there. No need to panic. For me, the biggest problems really is the fact that we haven't got, I know I mentioned him so many times and I hate doing it, but the Cody McDonald type of player who is going to be sniffing around and, he'd be, some of these games that you see, he'd be lapping it up.
Yeah.
And we just seem to make, missing chances. It just seems to be a hobby, doesn't it, at the moment? And that's the problem. We should be banging a lot of these chances in. I mean, I'm not massive on stats, as you know, but I'm sure if you add it all up from the last 5 games, the amount of chances we created, we've got to be scoring a lot more goals. Said it in the summer, it will be our downfall this season. If we don't make the playoffs, it will be the goal scored column that's going to be the problem. You look at other teams in the division, they just score more goals than we do. They let more in, but they score more goals than that. And I think, all right, we know about Shad. We've got a few shortcomings in certain areas, and to be fair, I think they'll probably will be dealt with in January. I think you've got to remember that's not a million miles away now. I'm sure there's players on the radar. I'm sure decisions, conversations. I know that are going to be being had at the moment. We will be looking to strengthen, no doubt about that. We know the areas that we need to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're okay. I don't want to, reading a lot of the weekend on social media went a little bit overboard for me. To be fair, I think we're okay. And I think it's good that we've got the FA Cup game Saturday. Just takes the heat out of it a little bit. It would be nice to get through that though, because I think certainly last couple of seasons we've been a bit lame, haven't we, on cup competitions? And I like the FA Cup. It'd be nice to get through that one and maybe get a home tie in the next round. But I think it just takes the heat out of it. And I think the lucky thing this season, and it was the case last season, unfortunately, the division is quite weak. You can't look at any side in that top 10 and say, you know what, they're good, because let's be honest, they're not. I mean, Walsall, they lost home to Barrow, I believe, and then for the weekend they lost to Cheltenham. I know it was a late goal. I mean, Swindon, they lost 4 at Accrington. I think they had a draw at the weekend. You look at Notts County, MK, these types of teams. All right, they have their days when they're really good, but then they have their off times. And I think it's been beneficial for us, really, hasn't it? That we've been quite fortunate with some of the results that have been happening.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it is testament to the fact that, no disrespect to any other fans of any other club in the division, but I just feel that it is very weak at the moment. Mike, I do want to touch with you before we move on. Our defence has been the saviour for us in recent seasons, and we've been very good in it. Okay, Connor's out. Sam was suspended. But why do you think that we have to, or why in the last couple of games we've been very lacking in that position?
This is the thing, and it's a proper head scratcher because our backline hasn't really changed that much. And we used to, I mean, even when we were sort of lacking on delivery up the other end of the pitch, we would always be relying upon a solid line at the back. But let's be honest here. These early goals are absolutely killing us. They really are. They're making our jobs a hell of a lot more difficult than what they need to be, where we're just not switched on right from the get-go. There seems to be this mentality, I suppose, of let's feel out the game kind of thing. But the thing is, if you've got other teams coming at you in the early moments and you're not ready, then you get what we've been experiencing, these early goals, and just giving us a bit more of a task to complete up the other end. It's a proper head scratcher as to why, because the back line hasn't changed that much. Hutton, Clark have been mainstays throughout both of those kinds of periods. Shadowgi as well, has been within that dynamic. So it's really strange how we're sort of it's almost like it's completely reversed. We had our concerns beforehand were, look, we're not providing enough service to the strikers to score goals, whereas now as Stu's rightly pointed out, we are providing the service, but we're not putting them away. That's it's a slightly different thing. At least the service is coming and that we're having attempts on goal. But at the back, there just seems to be this erratic, not quite prepared, slight mentality, but just being a little bit disorganized, where they're just trying to feel it out, and people just come at, and teams have just come at them. So it's really difficult to sort of understand why, because it's happened whether we've had 4 at the back, whether we've had 3 centre backs. It's been the same sort of thing. So it's one of those things that they just need to be switched on right from the get-go, because why make it more difficult for ourselves? We just need to sort of just give it the beans right from the off. And then we'll still be in the game once we've had a chance to feel it out.
But then, do you not think, Mike, that this is kind of like a byproduct of the fact that, you know, the likes of Shadogi, the likes of Andy Smith, and the likes of Sam Gow are so young that they're still learning that side of the game? Yes, they're very good defenders. Shad not so much on Saturday, but they are so young that they need to learn and get that experience with that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I get that side of thing, and I think with centre backs along with the goalkeeper, I think when mistakes are made, the punishment is a bit more extreme than when you lose it in the middle of the park, for instance. Yeah, they are still sort of like learning their trade, but when you think about how good Sam Gow is and consistently so, but the thing is that we've seen flashes of how good Shadogi can be. We've seen flashes of how brilliant Andy Smith can be. But, the thing is, there needs to be consistency with that. We know they've got it in the locker. Yeah. They've just got to demonstrate that time and time again. And, I mean, going back to what I was saying about Jake Turner, that, would a solid run iron that out? Maybe for Jake Turner, but in the case of Shadogi's had he's not had like very few games with us. He's had a number of games with us. Andy Smith, you can kind of forgive it because he came in towards the tail end of last season kind of thing, and he's starting to play games with us. But we've got to see that consistency. You can't put it all on Sam Gow and rely on Sam Gow.
Yeah.
They've just got to show that consistency because as you've said, Connor's out for a little bit longer. This is what we've got. We've got to work with it, and if it means that if they're so erratic in form that what for guy Akomia, yeah. So Akamea, whatever.
Sorry, I apologise.
Anyway, so if it means that he has to come in, then so be it. It's we just need that consistency and security at the back.
Yeah,
and not that worry.
Definitely.
Do you think that's why we were going for
right, David? Can you take over for a second? I just need it. I really need the toilet.
No problem.
He was off to be sick, wasn't he?
I think that's why we were looking at Will Boyle before. Obviously, Shrewsbury jumped in. Obviously, he's 30, and do you think that's probably why? Because I think, as you put quite well there, Mike, that they are so young, and just that experienced player at centre back is so key. And I know, obviously, Max Amer wasn't everyone's taste, but again, he offered you that experience. And do you think maybe January will be the time that might be an area they look at, Stu, to get someone experienced in the centre of defence?
Yeah, possibly. I think obviously a lot depends on Connor, and I think in the summer the situation with Connor dragging on was probably a lot of the reason why the Boyle thing came up, in all honesty. And I think the negotiations sort of dragged on with Connor longer than was initially anticipated, from what I gather. But yeah, January, I think we'll be looking, because if we're still in this sort of position in the league, if we're in and around the playoffs, then obviously January is the time to make a decision. Are we going to throw the kitchen sink at it and go for a promotion, or are we going to, and I hate to use this term, but are we going to be penny pinching and thinking, all right, we're not going to spend any more money. We're just going to, let it pan out until the summer, when obviously there'll be other contracts up for renewal. There'll be, easier to offload players, probably easier to sign players as well. So it'll be an interesting one in January, but I think we'll definitely see one or two leaving, and I hope we're going to see a couple of new faces. Definitely, yeah.
Sorry, just to sort of add to what you were saying, Stu. I mean, we're always being told that this is a 2-year project. Do you really think that the club's going to throw the kitchen sink at it to get the job done this season? I can't see it.
I think there's obviously some financial restraints there. I think we're pretty much spent up in respect to the budget. I don't think that's any secret. I think a lot will depend on who possibly could go out the door in January, whether we can offload, whether anyone wants to. And I'll play. I must admit, it frightens me, but I think we could lose Gale in January. I think that's possible because if you look at it, he's consistency, playing really, really well. He's going to be catching the eye of your Charltons and your Millwalls and all your usual faces are going to be down there and having a look. And let's be honest, he could probably go into those sides, I think. And at the end of the day, if someone comes in with decent, some decent money, is it wrong that he should be sold? Should we be stopping him moving up the ladder? I don't think so. So I think it could be very interesting in January, to be honest.
Off the back of
Brad's interview where he said, the Gills without Sam Gale is unthinkable.
Yeah,
so
I know.
We'll see how tested that is.
Yeah. But he was praising up the youth side of the club as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And to be fair, it has looked pretty good, hasn't it? Really. And that's an interesting one. We do look like we've got some really promising youngsters coming through, which is really, it's great value, isn't it? You bring your own through. So yeah, it's a funny one this season. I get why everyone's frustrated because it's a very, very average looking division, like we've said. There's no great teams in there. They're all much of a muchness. If you looked at in the next range of fixtures in this division, no one would be able to predict who's beating who. It's a mystery, really. There's a great opportunity. It'd be nice to think now we've had a little blip. Let's get the cup tie out of the way. And I think then we go down to play the Gas, don't we, down at Bristol Rovers. I mean, they let 4 in every week, don't they? Surely we can score down there.
Well, I hope so, because I'm staying in a hotel on that Saturday night and then travelling back on the Sunday just so I can have a beer. So I'm hoping we beat them.
Is that a migrant hotel you're staying in, or?
Huh?
Is it a migrant hotel you're staying in down there? Or?
No, we're not getting into politics, Stuart Lewis. We're not talking about that. But anyway, so we do have a couple of comments. So you boys seem remarkably good-humoured. I think, though, we need to start being very concerned about the personnel and tactics being used. If Gareth Hayes don't get a hold of it, it's deja vu. I think that I'm not necessarily worried at the moment, personally.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all.
I think that we're
this
in
time last year, I was literally on tranquilizers. I was so worried.
No, I think personally for me, I think that these circumstances that we find ourselves in aren't great, but at the same time, they're not necessarily terrible. Your manager's not there. He's had heart surgery. I think we need to give the boys a little bit of time. I do think as well a 21 game unbeaten run kind of gives them a little bit of room.
I think so. I think we've done well, and I think we've got a good squad of players. Yeah, let's not forget. Quite often we've all said it. We've looked at the team on a 10-2 or whatever it is on a Saturday. We've looked at the bench and thought, you know what, that's a really good bench.
Yeah,
we haven't been able to say that for a long, long time.
Yeah, no, definitely. And got another one from Dave Weston. The positional play of the back will change with the different formations. Yep, okay. The players at back are young, and we've spoken about that already. An experienced defender.
If all the centre halves were fit, who would be your two?
Mine,
Gale Masterson.
I'd say Andy Smith and Masterson.
Over Gale?
Yeah, no, Gale and Masterson all day long.
Yeah.
I was still a bit iffy on Gale.
It depends, though, David, doesn't it? Depends what formation you're playing. If you're playing a 2, I'd probably have Connor all day long, and then one of Sam Gale and Andy Smith.
You've got to pick one.
You can't leave Sam Gale out of this.
No,
that's ridiculous.
No.
Yeah.
Given his consistency as well. I mean, we talked about.
No, I think
Yeah, but then say to caveat that with what you guys are saying about January, if he went to Charlton or Millwall or wherever,
that's a different thing.
Who would you then?
We'll put Smith in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we spread the rumor on social media that Chris hates Sam Gale? Pass it on.
Oh no! Shut up! No, I don't.
He's still getting over that. Still getting over that punt about the Harrogate Town fans, isn't he? He upset all them.
Yes, he did.
I definitely don't hate Sam Gale. I think he's a brilliant young player. Before you guys start spreading that rumor,
I've got to say, Chris is a mystery.
I've got nothing to play with Jake Turner.
Chris moaned about the Harrogate Town fans, and then he applauded 12 Salford fans on Saturday. I can't work him out.
I got pelters for it, so I thought I'd change tact.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
There we go. So anyway, we will move on to Phil's thoughts, and then we will get into our man of the matches.
After last week's game, we needed to get a result this week, and unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. The tone for the game was set when Morris went off at the very start, and unfortunately, we then conceded 2 goals that we really shouldn't have done, and we were just chasing to get into the game. Second half, yeah, we were better, but ultimately, we're the architects of our failure. If we cannot score goals, we are not going to win games. Simple as that. Thankfully, this is the last game of October. Fingers crossed November will be a better month. Up the Gels.
There we go. So we move on to you, Stu. And first, your man of the match was Seb Palmer-Holden. Your reasons as to why?
Yeah, I think he's getting better and better, I must say. And I think, if we start adding a few goals, in the mix, he looks nice and bright. He looks quick. He's adding some each time I see him, and I think he was really, really good Saturday. I think it was. Can't remember who got the sponsors man of the match, but he must have run a close second for me because it was certainly second half as well. He looked really, really bright, and I think he's got a decent future with us, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And so David, you've gone for Mr. Consistent himself, Mr. Max Clark. Your reasons as to why?
I think you summed him up pretty well. He's always consistent. I was tempted to go with Seb Palmer-Holden, but I didn't want to become a bit of a fanboy. And obviously, my thoughts on who he's replaced. So I didn't want to look like I'm just going to pick him every single week. So I thought, no, I'll go for Clark. He's a 7, 8 out of 10 every week. I don't think you're ever going to come away from a game thinking, oh my God, Max Clark's had a blinder. But I always leave thinking he's been solid. He's not making mistakes. He's involved a lot more now. I do feel like we go down the left more than we were. We're still predominantly down the right, but I think he is getting better going forward. But yeah, there wasn't really much to pick from really for Saturday, and I just thought he was pretty consistent.
Yeah. Would you? Okay, I'll ask you a question. I'll pose it to you, David. Would you pick Max over Lenny Serino on a match?
In a 4, yes.
In a 4, yes, but in a 5, I'd probably go for Lenny.
In a 5, no.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, Mike, last minute change, but you went for Josh Andrews. As your reasons as to why?
I panicked. That's my reasons. Seriously, Andrews, you know what you're going to get with him is that he does put himself about. He's quite happy to battle for that ball every single time. I mean, what a great goal that he scored as well. As we mentioned before, that we're starting to see why we've got Josh Andrews. And yeah, it was a toss-up for me between Andrews and Seb Palmer-Holden, because I totally agree that each time that we see SPH, that we're seeing some great pace, some great activity, and also this is something that we very rarely see. How many times did we see Seb track back? It was absolutely fantastic to see. But for me, Andrews, his effectiveness up front, battling for the ball, linking play, and everything like that. Not scared to get stuck in. I'll always appreciate that every day of the week.
Yeah. No, you can't fault his goal. And to be fair, I would like to say a massive well done to Sam Vokes as well for the little flick on, for then another little flick on, for then the goal. So yeah, it was very, very good. So I've gone for Seb Palmer-Holden, pretty much the same reason as Stu, really. I just felt that he ran everywhere. He was just chasing everything down. He was trying his hardest. That, to be fair to Salford, their keeper was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think that massive credit to what's his name, Mr. Young or
Matt Young.
Yeah, Matt Young. I think he was absolutely brilliant. I think in the second half, he saved a shot from Seb as well. But Seb just seems to just run and run and run, and he's big, he's strong. He just seems to be everywhere, and he tries his hardest all of the time, and that's all we can ask as Gills fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's mine. Before we get into our look ahead, we do have a new feature this week, and it will be a monthly thing. So German Gills, they do his monthly goal of the month. So we're going to play that, and then we'll talk about that a little bit.
Blocked really well by Sorokin. Gills get another shot towards goal. Get this ball down. Andrews takes the shot, and we've scored. Great shot from Andrews. He's put it in the back of the net, and it's no less than we deserve from this game. But Gills do find one goal back in this first half. This will be the last roll of the dice as Hutton's going to put this one into the box. I mean, it's gone into the box. Can we get something on it to get the shot towards goal? There's got to be something. Here's a shot. Someone get the shot and have a... Oh, my goodness. Bouncing everywhere. Yes! And we have got the equaliser right at the death! On board with the top here. Williams done well there. Can he find the back of the net? He can find the back of the net, and Gills have got a second goal, and there's 90 seconds remaining. Gills fans, what was your favourite goal this month from the 3 nominations? If you're on X, use the poll below to cast your vote. If you're on YouTube, leave your choice in the comments. For a chance to win a prize from our sponsors, Viper Golf, make sure you like this post and repost it. The winner will be announced in the next German Gills video.
So yeah, boys, I absolutely love Reese's reactions to goals. It literally makes my weekend.
Yeah, they're better than the goals themselves.
Pure joy.
I can't get enough of it. Like when we score goals, especially that Johnny Smith one at Newport, it was just But anyway, David, I'll start with you, mate. And out of them 3, what was your goal of the month?
Mine would be Johnny Williams. I just think the pass, the touch, the finish was, really good.
Yeah. And Stu, yourself?
Yeah, Andrews for me.
Yeah. And Mike?
First of all, I just want to say how disappointed it is that none of these games are off the back of wins. And I think that shows in Reese's reactions as well. Like, yes, we got a late equaliser against Cheltenham, but for me, it would probably be Williams for the very reasons that, it was a great touch that could have gone absolutely anywhere. Great finish. Fantastic. Just shame we were on the wrong end of the result.
And I think I will just add that I think Warren's would have been Elliot Nevitz because he's a big fanboy of Elliot Nevitt apparently. But for me, I'm going to go for yesterday's. I have to go for Josh Andrews because it was that flick by Sam, that flick back by him, by Josh, and then that goal. It was just, for me, it was fantastic. So we will look ahead. Obviously, next weekend we are in the FA Cup with a really insignificant, underwhelming, draw. We will touch on that next Monday, but next Monday we will be doing a 15 game review of the season so far rather than talking about the FA Cup. We will be talking about the FA Cup in brief detail, but we're going to move straight on to a look ahead. So on the 8th of November, we will be playing Bristol Rovers. They've lost, won, lost, and we've lost, drawn, lost. So, Stu, I'll go with you, mate. And what are your hopes and aspirations for our next league game?
Yeah, that's winnable. They leak goals left, right, and centre. I know we do struggle, but no, I think the worm's going to turn, and I think we'll win there 2-0.
There you go. And David, yourself.
Well, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a classic, doesn't it? From the form guide. But yeah, no, I'm with Stu that it's a game I think we need to win, and I think we will win.
Yeah, Mike.
I think this is the game to put us back on track. As Stu says, they are a bit of a leaky vessel. They can't even blame Max Amer for it this time. So I'm hoping for a convincing result in that respect.
Yeah, I think
Warren probably thinks it's going to be 2-0 Bristol Rovers.
Yeah, well, I think we need to. I will ask you all the same question in a minute, but for me, I think Bristol Rovers are not great at the moment, are they? Let's be honest. We've not been great, but at least we've got a draw, I guess. Warren, Stu, do you?
I'm not that old.
Are you worried about our current predicament?
No, not in the slightest.
Okay. David, the same question to yourself.
Not yet. I think there's enough within the team. As I said in my review of the game, I think they just need to get the partnerships sorted, and I think we'll be fine. Might say something different if we go to Bristol and lose, but at the moment, I'm fine.
Yeah, and Mike, yourself, obviously, I personally don't think that I'm worried. I think there are mitigating circumstances with regard to Gareth being out as well. But yourself?
Yeah. I'm not unduly worried or anything like that. It's I think it just feels different this time. I think we do like the unbeaten run does give them a bit of a pass on that. It's the same squad. It's no different in that regards. Of course there have been like previous seasons like when we had like Neil Harris and we had the downturn in form. It felt like we were getting away with it a little bit. But I think this season it just feels different. It just feels a bit different to previous.
Yeah. I just think that there are mitigating circumstances. We can kind of give the lads a little bit of a pass at the moment. So I will go to the comments because Jamie has said, "Did you miss my comment? Formation all wrong for me. Should have played 3-4-3-5-2 with Serena on the left for me." Your thoughts. So, Mike, I'll ask you and your thoughts on Jamie's comment.
No, I would not have played 3-5-2 against Salford with their front line being as mobile as they were. I don't think a 3-5-2 would have been effective in any way, shape or form.
There we go. So we got TC Blue who said Max Amer even slower than OG and Smith. We've also got Dave Watson. Masterson is vocal and organised during games. He's been missed.
Yes, he has.
And obviously our good friend at German Gills. You fellas are too kind, thanks. So yeah.
I started the rumour with Reece saying that when the Johnny Smith goal went in, I started the rumour that you let a little wee go when Johnny scored that.
Yeah. So Stu, I do want to ask you about that question actually, because let me find the question itself again, the one that we just asked by Jamie. Do you feel that we should have started with a 3-5-2 with Serena on the left?
No. To be fair, I'm old school, so I only know one formation, and that's 4-4-2.
That's 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And David, yourself.
As I said, when I saw the lineup come out, my first instinct was to think that Mackenzie was going to play at the back. Even though I do think Sereno is probably a better wing back than Max Clark, you know what you're going to get with Max Clark, and I think it's going to take a lot for Lenny to actually displace him. I'm
Yeah.
sure he may get a run out at the weekend, but I think when it comes to the league, he's trusted Clark, and I think he'll play the majority of the games from now until the end of the season.
That's fair. That's fair. So we just touch on sponsors and partners, boys. We are, of course, sponsored by Jamie and John from Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station, D at Wicked Creative. We are then in partnership with the Gillingham FC Supporters Club, Her Game 2 and Sports Social Podcast Network. So I think we're pretty much in the show. We've gone over an hour. We're actually doing really good time. We're nearly hour and 15 minutes. There we go. So before we go, boys, just a little bit of housekeeping. Stu, I'll start with you, mate. Anything you would like to mention before we go off air, and nothing to do with politics?
Well, there's no hope then, is there? That's all I ever go on about.
He's got nothing else in life.
No. I think, like I said, I think we're in a much better place than we were this time last season, and I think it's a blip. I've got to be honest. I think that it's a nice little distraction of the weekend. We can go down to Newport, nice and relaxed. Hopefully, win where we've already won this season, and then look forward to Bristol Rovers, possibly with maybe some injury clear ups, and let's just kick on again. Really, I think we've got a nice little spell now. We've got to play Bristol Rovers. We've got Crawley, and then we've got Shrewsbury Town coming up, and on paper we say perhaps some slightly easier games. So I think we'll be okay come Boxing Day, when we'll be welcoming back Harris and Bonner. Look forward to that one. Hopefully we'll be in the in pole position.
There we go. And David, yourself, mate, any lasting thoughts before we go?
No, I'm off to Newport at the weekend. Looking forward to it. Ground I've not been to. So yeah, going with me old man and my nephew. So looking forward to that. And yeah, then hoping that we can get back on winning form in the league and forget about the run that we've just had. Forget about October and move on to November and start being positive again.
There we go. Mike, yourself?
Only the future is very bright for us at the moment. Yes, we're going through a bit of a blip, but this is the same team that did the 21-game unbeaten run mostly. As Brad touched on in the interview, we've got some improvements going on outside of the pitch as well. I'm just really positive about the direction that we're going in at the moment, and compared to the days where we didn't really have much of a future for the youth players. Now it seems to be that there's quite a few knocking on the door now to be part of what we're trying to achieve going forwards. How can you not be positive about something like that? It's absolutely fantastic. So long may it continue, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all pans out.
Yep, it's definitely for us guys. It's definitely far reach from the days of Scally. I think, yes, okay, we could do better in the league. We could potentially do that, but when you've got 6-7 players out injured that will walk into any team in this division for me, then you're always going to struggle. So, yep, that's it, boys, and we will finish up there, I think. So join us, subscribe or follow. Facebook at The View from the Medway, YouTube, The View from the Medway Fancast, and on X at The View from the Medway Fancast, or TVFTM. So, sorry.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? Obviously, I just want to quickly mention, obviously, our good friend Malcolm passed away last week, and I really appreciate everyone that clapped him after kickoff on Saturday, and myself, Malcolm, Martin, Maya, Bex, Mervyn, all of our friends were just absolutely massively appreciated. So thank you for that. So I've been Chris, he's been Stu, he's been David, he's been Mike. Good night and up the Jules.